Are you gonna do the sound check with me? Okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is Victoria, and I have found some Little Mermaid retellings that are gonna ruin your childhood. Welcome back to episode 2 of my worst fairy tale retelling series. Today we're tackling The Little Mermaid. We've got 2 wonderful gems for you today. Hi, editing Victoria here. Originally this was going to be 1 video, but I think I'm breaking it into 2 just based on the length of these books. I don't want this video to be an hour and a half long. And also just like I'm delayed on filming the second half because of life stuff, so this is just going to be a 2-parter. I apologize. Please forgive me. Okay, back to the thing. Trigger warnings include all of the usual ickiness that can come with these books, including SA, abusive relationships, toxic behavior, and also in this one you're going to have to think about how fish procreate more than you probably ever wanted to. So if you're not prepared for that, this is not the video for you. Let's dive right in, shall we? Rescued by a merman. We open with a POV from our heroine, Hala. Hala is in the middle of a city that is being attacked by dragons. Yes, this is on land. There's fire everywhere. Her father is dying. Her brother is severely injured. And also she's the princess, so she feels some sort of responsibility to stop the destruction of the town. So she has this magical sword that's enchanted to be able to pierce the dragon's scales. Why this was given to her and not like the captain of the guard, nobody knows. But she has it, and she goes up to this massive dragon and she stabs it and kills it in 1 hit. Hala would be really, really good at Elden Ring, I feel like. Unfortunately, she manages to stab the dragon while it's flying over a large body of water, while it's flying over the ocean, and she's wearing like a full suit of armor. And I don't know if you've ever tried to swim in a full suit of armor. I haven't personally, but I gather that it's kind of hard. So she begins to sink immediately to the bottom. Luckily for her, Prince Henrik with 2 R's, that is definitely not this guy. It's totally different if you spell it differently. So Prince Henrik is a merman, and he is trying to fight the good fight, trying to help people who are drowning. There's a lot of distrust on both sides. There's a big, like, humans hate mer people hate humans, nobody trusts each other. But he's, like, a good person. So he's trying to help these people not drown. On his quest to help people not drown, he happens to rescue Hala. He gives her the kiss of life, essentially, that, like, helps her breathe underwater so she doesn't drown. And he drags her ass to shore. The last thing that Hala remembers before losing consciousness is that this is her first kiss. This is basically CPR, so I don't think that counts, actually. Sorry, Hala. He also happens to know who she is. There's some sort of, like, communication between the 2, like, civilizations, I guess. We get back to Hala's POV a month later. She sustained a bunch of burns because she was fighting a dragon, and as a result, can't walk anymore. She's lost the use of her legs. It's not clear for how long. It seems like it's maybe not forever, but maybe she'll never, like, fully recover. Like, it's unclear. Luckily, her brother has survived, and he makes her, like, a little wheelchair and gets her a ramp so she can go back down to the water, because she's always loved the water. So she's dealing with that. Henrik happens to be hanging out by that part in the water because he's been desperately trying to figure out whether the girl he saved actually made it or not. Yes, Latte makes an excellent point in that this is a little bit stalkery, but, like, also kind of fine. I would be curious too. Eric's whole family is mad that he's spending a lot of time trying to, like, circle around the coast and trying to get gossip. There are no consequences for this. His family's just mad about it. So Hala goes for a swim, despite having basically no use of her legs, which seems really fucking dangerous and like a really bad idea. She's struggling a lot in the water, and Henrik comes up and helps her and is like, oh, hey, how you doing? They catch up. It's great. We get, like, the conversation also from Eric's point of view, and he mentions how slight and petite and skinny she is compared to the mermaids that he's around, who are, like, strong and muscular. And while I like that the mermaids are strong and muscular, Hala can wear a full suit of armor and also slay a dragon with a really heavy sword. And I feel like emphasizing how tiny and petite and like little and slender and like delicate she is really weird, considering she's a fucking warrior and she can do all of that shit, and you kind of need muscles for all of those things. So I'm a little frustrated that she still has to meet that like itty bitty dainty delicate flower standard of romance heroines when like the story does not call for it and it doesn't really make sense. We also see from Hala's point of view that Eric is really shiny. They describe him as pearlescent all over, like not just his scales on his tail, but like his whole body is just like really shiny, which sounds to me like it would make it really hard to like look directly at him if it was sunny in the water. Like, have you ever tried to do that? Because there's a lot of reflectiveness, and it's kind of, I feel like you would go blind trying to look at it. But Hala thinks this is really hot and can apparently make eye contact, so that's nice. They agree to meet up in the water again so they can have a little swim together. One of the problems I have with this as we like get more and more scenes of them meeting up is that the dialogue is really terrible. There's just like a lot of repeated information. Like in one scene, Eric's brother, as he's coming back into the water, his brother says, "Hey, I told father that you've been looking for him all day." 2 paragraphs later, the father says, "Hey, your brother told me that you've been looking for me all day." Like, it's a lot of that. It's like, we get it. We saw that in the 2 paragraphs ago. We can skip that to the actual, like, action part. Like, I know what's happening, and it feels like the author doesn't trust me to know what's happening because she has to repeat all of this information. At some point over the course of these visits, Eric has a conversation with his father. His father's really pissed that he's been, like, sneaking out to, like, talk to humans. And they also go over a thing called fate markings, which seems like very cutie mark-esque from My Little Pony. Like, it's a mark that appears on you when you've, like, met your fated mate. Eric is betrothed, by the way. So his father wants him to, like, see if he'll, like, develop a fate marking with her over time. We then get a really fun scene with Eric and Hala talking about her disability. Hala complains that, like, she isn't free to do what she wants, and she feels really restrained by the chair, and, like, she can't swim as much as she wants to, and she can't run around and do her, like, training drills, which, like, very valid. Eric is all like, "You're so strong. You haven't given up and gotten super depressed like some of the merfolk that I've seen. They just gave up after they lost their tails." It's like, I get that he's trying to be encouraging, but that's not the best take. As they have these repeated meetings, they find that they have a dead mom in common. Because of course they do. They're like, "Oh gosh, wouldn't it be nice if we could be together? But you're a human, and I'm a mare, and it'll never happen. Oh no." They're trying to, like, set this up as, like, a forbidden romance, but, like, is it really? By the time that they've been hanging out for a month, Eric has decided that he just really wishes that he could marry Hala. After a month. So, I do appreciate that in a lot of other novels, it's been, like, they'll give the couple, like, a week, and they're already like, "I love you, I can't be without you." So, like, a month is better, but also you could have had, like, a year go by or something. Like, you can make up whatever, you're the author, you can make up whatever timeline you want, actually. We are reminded that Eric has this arranged marriage coming up. The bride is, like, coming to visit, so he has to, like, do stuff with that. And Hala also happens, because she's a princess, she also happens to have an arranged marriage that's one that fell apart because she's now disabled and nobody wants her. Their words, not mine. And now she's gotten another offer and has to, like, go meet with this guy. Her brother has told her multiple times that she doesn't actually have to marry this guy if she doesn't want to, so there's actually no pressure at all. We also happen to get a good description around this time of Eric's mating pouch, which is maybe the least sexy phrase I can think of to describe someone's bits. It just makes him sound more like an animal than, like, more like a humanoid who can consent to things. And apparently he's very well endowed once it gets out of the mating pouch. But again, the more I say mating pouch, the more I just don't want anything to do with it. So, Hala meets with the king who wants her hand in marriage, and we're supposed to think that he's just a terrible brute that, like, is not a bad guy, but is a really bad fit for her. And honestly, I am not sold on that at all. This guy is hot. He is smart. He values not just her looks, but also her intelligence and her strength. He talks about the things she did and, like, how impressive it was that she slayed the dragon and, like, what she gave up for her people. And I haven't heard Eric mention anything about her personality other than the fact he's happy she's not depressed. This guy mentions adjusting his whole castle to support her mobility needs, whatever they are. Like, he's like, I can renovate the whole place. It's all good, whatever you got. Which is like, okay, maybe the bare minimum if you're going to marry someone, but, like, it's nice that he's considered these things and is like, I'm willing to make these changes for you. Hala is really offended when he mentions having kids, but, like, it's not like she doesn't want kids at all. That's not the problem. And also, she's a princess, and, like, the whole point of arranged marriages is to mingle the bloodline, right? Like, create alliances and mingle the bloodline so that you can maintain that alliance. Like, that's the point. So, like, for him to mention that they would be having kids should not shock her in any way. Like, that's the whole deal. That's part of the package. You shouldn't have even met with him at all if you were, like, never gonna have kids. Hala asks him about, like, but what about love? Why can't we love each other? And this guy is like, I can't promise you love, but I can promise that I will treat you with respect and that I won't cheat on you. And I think we would rule very wisely together as joint partners in this kingdom. And, like, damn. I'm not offended for Hala. This guy seems great. She's known the other guy for a month. Like, this guy seems good, and, like, he's also really hot. Did I mention that he's also really hot? This is not a conflict. I would really like it if they were, like, setting it up as, like, a love triangle thing, even. But, like, she's not into him at all. It's because she has the option to always say no, there's no stakes to it, and because he's, like, a chill guy. Like, I don't know why he's here in the story. He deserves his own story. I don't get it. Like, also there's the political implication that she is willing to put her entire kingdom's financial future at risk because she has a crush on a guy she met a month ago. Look, I know she did a good ruler thing by slaying the dragon, but, like, it's not supposed to be this political. Nobody wanted it to be this political, but I can't help but think about that. I want more political intrigue in The Little Mermaid, damn it. This is just a me thing. Nobody else wants this. We'll also mention that at this point, other than the guy being called Eric and a merman and a mer person saving a human from drowning, there is not a single tie to The Little Mermaid at all. Nobody loses their voice. Nobody gets turned into the opposite thing. The merman does not ever turn into a human. Like, there's no seawitch, there's no Ursula character, there's no father who's trying to tell her what to do, which is a big theme in the Disney version. There's nothing. I don't understand where the tie-in is. It's literally just a story about mermaids, and they just use The Little Mermaid as marketing when it has nothing to do with each other other than the fact that there are mermaids in it. I don't get it. Eric and Hala meet up, and Hala tells him all about this terrible meeting with this terrible man named Henrik, and Eric is like, I will give you all of the gold at the bottom of the sea so you don't have to marry this guy for the sake of the kingdom. I'm like, okay. So they decide to bone because he just offered her millions of dollars, which, like, yeah, that would turn me on too. They describe his man bits as getting slimier the more he is aroused, which, like, I guess is similar to turning a woman on, but I wouldn't describe that as, like, a sliminess, and they definitely describe this as a sliminess, and that, again, makes me feel like this is more animal than human, and I don't feel great about that. Oh, also, his secret sauce is blue. Fun fact for you. They then lay on the sand and fall asleep, And I assume Hala gets a terrible, terrible sunburn that she never mentions. Hala finds out that Eric is a prince and that he has also been dealing with his own betrothal stuff. She's pissed off because she was telling him about all of her drama and like he could have mentioned that. That was a good time to bring it up, but he just didn't bring it up. This could be resolved in 2 seconds by him just apologizing for not bringing it up and just talking about it. So we still have yet to like have an actual conflict in this book. So they have this little fight, and despite this, she goes to Henrik. Hala goes to Henrik and is like, yeah, no thanks. And Henrik takes it very graciously, because he's a good guy. And you should marry him instead. Eric goes down to the ocean. He finally meets his betrothed. He hasn't met her before. And she's like, yeah, I'm also like in love with someone else. So like, let's just not do this. It's good. We'll just like sign an alliance some other way. And they both go to their fathers and they say that and they agree. And it's totally cool. Everyone's totally cool. Literally not a shred of conflict in this book. Not a shred of it. Everyone's totally fine with everything. Why even have this if it's not actually going to be a conflict? Why even bother if no one's going to be like, no, you actually have to marry this person on either side? So Hala and Eric meet up again and they like share the juicy tidbits that they're not getting married and like it's kind of fine again. And then they see pirates pulling in. This would have been good if literally anyone had foreshadowed it at all. Maybe the pirates could have like had a dragon and it could have been like tied to the first dragon attack or something. I don't like literally anything, but the pirates just come out of nowhere. It really feels like the author was like, what conflict can I introduce here? We're near the ocean. Pirates. Right. Like they just hadn't thought that far ahead and just had like insert dramatic fight scene here and just needed to fill it in. This also really doesn't pose any threat to the mermaids. So like why Eric panics, I don't know. Like obviously it sucks for the humans, but like the mermaids are kind of totally fine. It would have been better if it was a threat that like had to do with both mermaids and humans so they could like bring their people together. Anyway, they use this as an excuse to like also get the mermaids on board with the humans and fight with them to fight the pirates for no reason. Like there's no good terms of alliance for them. They're just doing it because they're nice people, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Hala insists on going to fight even though she is limited in her mobility and that seems like it might be a problem. She hauls her ass up on one of the pirate ships. Eric gets stabbed a little bit, but he stabs people back. They plant explosives. Where they got explosives from, I don't fucking know. But they plant explosives and then get the fuck off the ship. Again, no foreshadowing whatsoever, no setup, just they got explosives, they got on the boat. And again, where is the captain of the guard in all of this? Is that guy just asleep? Did they forget to appoint one? I don't get why Hala is doing all of this. So the only real fallout from this whole big conflict is that they have to deal with Eric's stab wound. Henrik, because he's a fucking nice guy, is like, yeah, let me help you get to a healer so that we can bring a healer back to heal him. Henrik then turns into a fucking polar bear and just like trots her off. She gets to ride on his back to the... And like, look, I know mermen are like hot and sexy, but like also he can turn into a fucking polar bear. What would be sexier than riding on a polar bear? A merman you can only have so much fun with, you know, because of the weird pouch thing. But I just... Although, to be fair, if you'd watched my snow hoe video, you would know that a polar bear is not terribly well endowed. It's about the same size as a brown bear, which is much smaller than it. So, I guess she's making her choice. Here's a fun fact for you. Any place that I can trot out that fun fact, I'm going to from now on. So just be prepared for that. Hopefully it doesn't come up again, but like polar bears and romance are trending, I guess. So they get to this healer in the woods and they make a sort of Ursula seawitch sort of bargain. We finally got there. It has very little to do with losing her voice or anything. It has nothing to do with the actual story, but there's a witch in it, so I guess that counts. The bargain is the witch can heal him, but Hala has to give up her love for him. So he will remember everything, but she won't remember anything. So she doesn't have to suffer through the heartbreak. He gets to live. And also, she can marry Henrik, who is hot and nice, and also a fucking polar bear. It all works out. This is the perfect solution for everybody. All she has to do is give up the feelings that she has for this guy who she's had a crush on for a month. So she does take the deal, and we then get a recap from Erik's point of view. So he's all healed up. He's great. He's pining for her. She has said yes to Henrik's proposal. Good job. And he's sad about it, but like, he should just let this go. Oh, also, Hala can walk now. Yeah, she's maybe not going to run a marathon, but like, she's totally fine. So that feels kind of like a punch in the throat to the disabled character rep we were getting. She didn't need to get her legs back for plot reasons, so they just did it for like a happy ending thing instead of showing some character growth of her learning to live in a body that is different than the one that she used to have, which would have been a more compelling story, I think. And also would have given her like a shred of a personality. Anyway, because Erik is pining for her and we can't possibly have Henrik actually getting anything good in this fucking book, Erik finds out about this blue pearl that can bring memories back, and he goes and gets it. And brings it back, and everything is fine. Yeah, I thought that there would be more stakes. I thought it would be hard. But he really just, like, swims there, asks someone for help, they help him, and then he swims back. This book is allergic to stakes and conflict. Why did it have to be this long, then? Why do they keep setting us up to have some good conflict, and then taking it away from me? Hala remembers everything because she tastes the blue pearl and is like, no, I must marry Erik. I can't marry you, Henrik. And Henrik takes this like a fucking champ because he's the perfect man and Hala doesn't deserve him. Like and subscribe for more Henrik simp content. That's just what this channel is going to be from now on. To consummate the relationship, Hala and Erik do the deed on the beach. We get more details about his thingy. And it's like a collapsible tripod situation happening in there. I don't know either. I don't know. I don't know. So later, they also find out that Erik has magically grown legs and he can go back and forth between the two kingdoms whenever he wants to, which means that they can have a perfect little family and he doesn't have to give up anything, which kind of part of the whole Little Mermaid deal was that she had to sacrifice something for her love. She had to give up her old life in order to be with him, and that was like a big step for her. And like that's kind of a big theme again of the original, and to just like not have that be an issue again shows that this book is allergic to conflict, which is what makes a story interesting. Fuck, I'm fine. This isn't going to be the book that breaks me. Not this one. They all live happily ever after, except for poor fucking Henrik. Sorry, my dude. I think one of my biggest problems with this book is that it doesn't have a point of view. There's no stakes, there's no conflict, none of the characters have any personality. It really rests on the laurels of like, ooh, pretty merman, let's fuck the pretty merman. And Hala's strong female character is really just like, yeah, she's literally physically strong, but she also doesn't look like she's physically strong because that would make her too masculine and we can't have that. She does what she has to do to save her people. She falls in love too fast and she likes to swim. That's not really a character. Erik doesn't, he has the personality of a sand dollar. Erik is just so limp. Everyone in the story is just like a wet fish in the situation, which you think would be called for, but it really isn't. And it bothers me the most because it doesn't try to tell a story in any compelling way. It's not taking the original source material and saying, I want to talk about this aspect. I want to explore disability in this situation. I want to explore what it would be like to gender swap and see if the sacrifice reads the same. I want to like, there's no exploration of anything. There's no point of view. And like, I would rather read a book that is actively terrible, that an author put some thought into, than this. This is just like, I wanted to write a Little Mermaid retelling, and I want to sell a Little Mermaid retelling, so I'm just going to write a story about mermaids that actually has no conflict, because if I had any conflict in it, that might give someone something to like or dislike about it, and we don't want anyone to dislike anything about it. So we have to keep this as generic and placid and pleasant as possible so that no one can dislike it. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I believe that you can write really good commercial fiction that sells well, that is also fun, that is also, like, not completely pointless and devoid of personality. I believe that you can do those things. And this book did not do that. And that makes me mad that this has to exist. I really didn't plan on doing the outro today, but here we are. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you want to see part 2, please like and subscribe, and we will tackle the Sea Witch next, which is, it does have a point of view, which is nice. Is it a good one? Only one way to find out. All right. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.